Christina, thank you so much for hanging out with me this morning and helping me with another video going over some problem situations that we had so our owners can always learn. This is our learning series for owners. This is going to be shot in the second half of October 2022. And this is really kind of the playlist we've got on YouTube, but when property management goes wrong, real deal. What happens when things don't go right? And this way owners can, before they invest, know what not to do. Because if somebody's already made these mistakes, we do not want to repeat any mistakes. I mean, crazy happens in property management, but let's not do crazy twice. Let's learn from it. Let's create a process. Let's dial it in. And then let's regroup and figure out how we can avoid these in the future. Because every one of these mistakes costs owners money. And after 16, 17, 18 years in business, we've seen a lot. Even we've seen a lot of crazy and random, but we don't want to do it twice. So this video is entitled Defer Routine Maintenance, Defer Routine Maintenance, and expect poor performance as a result. So Christina is with us here today to go over some real world examples about what happens when accidents take place, mistakes are made, and property management goes wrong. Christina, give me a little overview about this particular situation. What happened to the owners and what was the background on it?
Yeah, so at the time of move out, we have to send our, vendor out to do a walkthrough so we can have recommendations for the owner to see kind of what we thought would benefit them as far as their property and make sure it's in the best possible condition. We did recommend a few maintenance items that would ensure that the property looked its best and, had the best option to get leased as quickly as possible for them. And we recommended the blinds be replaced. They were out of date paper, to replace them with faux wood blinds, to complete touch outs throughout the property, power washing, cleaning up bamboo in the backyard, etc. And instead of those main focuses to ensure the property looked its best, they were more interested in installing electric vehicle chargers and decided that the other items were not important for their property.
So what's really interesting about this is that we have a lot of cases from different style investors. Some are what we call reluctant landlords, some are seasoned investors, and they all spend money differently. But oftentimes, as a property manager, we fight, or other property management companies don't fight, they ignore, to tell the owner they need to reinvest in their asset. Because this isn't like you spend money and all of a sudden you get rich in 10 years by match. You have to reinvest, kind of like your 401k. You've got to keep putting money in. This is not a one-time deal that 20 years turns into magic. So you've got to keep this property up. And what's interesting to me on this situation is the owners didn't say, I refuse to spend money or I don't want to, which we run into a lot. And we have to kind of battle to tell people nobody wants to rent a house that's not good in shape. But these folks are willing to spend. But somewhere along the lines, whether it's personal experience that gave them a feeling, or a forum they read, or a buddy that told them something, they thought putting in that charger would be, the game changer. And I think what they did is they forgot some of the basics. People may love the property because of the EV charger, but if the rest of the basics aren't taken care of, well, nobody wants to take their spouse and children to a house that has torn blinds and damaged flooring and is dirty and all that stuff. So give us a little bit of a heads up on the timeline. So you don't have to give me all the details, but just walk me through a little bit. How much time are we talking about from when the prior tenant moved out, when recommendations were made, and all this transpired? How did that go?
Yeah, so the tenants moved out at the end of May. We got everything scheduled. Within about 8 days, we had the property walked, reviewed, reports looked at, and recommendations sent to the owner. By about June 8th, all the information over to them. The owners at that time said, no. We completed all other repairs and completed a quality check on June 24th. Listed the property about July 5th after agreeing on a listing price with the owners. And that's kind of where we stalled. After 58 days, we had no showings, no applications. Owner finally agreed about the additional repairs after viewing it themselves in person September 7th.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yes.
And
yes.
so What was the total time here approximate from the tenant moving out to the new tenant moving in?
About 119 days.
Okay, so almost 4 months.
Yes.
Now, there's some caveats here in Austin that I don't think everybody's going to be aware of. One is labor. Well, everybody knows supply is hard to get, but labor is hard to get in summer. In Austin, there's a huge busy season and there's walls the other time of the year. The other thing to consider is that when I first started this, 16, 17 years ago, the peak season was really the very end of May to mid-August. When the kids were out, people were active. That has shifted dramatically over the years to where the peak season this year, when I started looking at turns, how many people we had moving out and moving in our system, really the end of June now. And it starts in March. It's shifted dramatically earlier. And so if you miss that window where you would have had people applying and looking ready to move in, you have to start chasing the price downward. So not only are you increasing the time on market, which is just wasting money, but you're getting less in revenue. So it's hitting you in two different ways by this delay, which, whether you would have had the magic tenant or not, it definitely was detrimental to wait at least those 2 months, because now by the time you get October, you're definitely beyond a peak and you're chasing the price downward. And that's just natural in this situation. So as a recap, since this is kind of a debrief on what happened so that we can not do it again and get processes, of course, we're never going to name names. So what would this investor, what should they have done differently? What did they do wrong?
Number one, the repairs, in their mind were not worth the money. Two, just omitted the basics. Three, moved too slowly to correct the decision on not completing the repairs.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more on all of those. I mean, we can't get fancy until we take care of the basics. If the front door is falling off the hinge, nobody cares if there's an EV charger. We've got to take care of those basics. And no one wants to bring their family or their spouse into a house and go, look what I rented for you. And it's filthy. They want to bring their family into something they feel proud of, even if it's not perfect or it's a craftsman old house. It's got to be clean. Nobody wants to walk their family into something that's not clean.
Correct.
As we say, hotel room ready, which we stole from a great colleague of ours. That really is the truth. When you walk into a hotel room, you don't want it dirty. You expect it to be clean. So thank you. Other is, you mentioned the basics. Because if you don't take care of touch-up paint, which oftentimes mean painting a full wall because you can't touch up and match those colors year after year, you guys have the same paint. It's dried out, the sun's on it, whatever it may be. You got to take care of the basics. And yard work especially. People are looking at that like, my kids are going to play in that yard. And all of a sudden, there's a bamboo jungle back there that's been torn down. They're not right, because Tommy can't get hurt in the backyard. So they're just going to go to another house that has maybe nothing in it. And the other is, man, when you get off course, just correct course. Let's not delay. If we know we did something wrong, that's okay. Life's full of mistakes. That's how we learn. But let's get back on course quickly. The holding time on this alone, 2 months, could have cost them about $4,500 in lower rent income and time on the market, because you're paying utilities, mortgage, insurance, all that, and it's just sitting there. Now I'm having to maintain it with additional wipe downs, pest control, yard maintenance. Let's not, because that is money you could have just put back in the property. My calculations on this were they spent about $4,500 in wasted holding costs, but the recommendations you kind of gave to me before this were only $3,000, and that would have brought up the value of the property. Instead, they wasted $4,500 and then still had to pay the $3,000. So this is what we don't want to do. This is why we visit these things, because we don't want our other investors to make the same mistakes. Our job is to get them to their goals, and we've got to collaborate to do that. So what would have been the right thing for them to do? Just in real quick synopsis, what would have been the right thing on those three situations to do?
Understand that time is money. Number two, ensure that we're covering all the basics. And number three, just to make sure we get back on course as quickly as possible.
Yeah, it's as simple as that. I mean, guys, you're spending money. Let's not. If we're going to spend it, let's invest it. Let's make the property better. Let's make the asset better. Let's not spend it out here, out the window. Take care of the basics. It's got to be clean. It's got to be painted. The yard has to be cleaned up, or you can't even get good photos to get someone to see the property. And then otherwise, they're going to go around. They're going to look at 5 properties in one day. They're going to pick the cleanest property. And if you don't make that list, you're in trouble. And then always get back on course. Life's full of mistakes. Let's put them behind us and move on. Really appreciate you sitting with me, Christina. I know you've got a full plate every day dealing with all the properties you manage, but it's just so important that we go back to our owners and deliver something to them in these real world scenarios so that they can know that we all make mistakes. They're not alone. And we don't name names, but we really are here to help them get better and to help them reach their investing goals. So thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you just sharing this with me and with the team and with the other investors. And we'll see you guys on the next video. Until next time, take care. Let us know if you need anything in Austin at 1836propertymanagement.com. Bye.
Okay.